Let's follow your lead.
Yeah.
Check 1, 2, 3. Check, check, check.
What's up? Welcome back to the channel. My name's Johnny, and I'm joined with
Patrick.
Today, we're gonna be looking at the C70, kind of giving our first impressions. We actually just have this as a rental for a few shoots that are coming up. So we're gonna kind of walk through, see how the footage stacks up, dynamic range, settings, build quality, all that stuff. So let's get to it. So first impressions, I'll kind of start with like build quality and overall size. This is actually the first time that I have seen the C70 in person. I think probably same with Patrick too. It's a camera that I was really excited about when it first got announced. I've been in the Canon ecosystem for essentially like my entire filmmaking career. I started with a T3i, moved up to like some other DSLRs from there, and then 1DX to a C200, and then the C300 Mark III. So I'm super familiar with the Canon ecosystem and settings, build quality, the sort of structure of everything. So with that said, I mean, the C70 feels, I would say, a lot more like a DSLR than a cinema camera, just kind of right off the bat. One thing is that the handle is built in, so there's no like articulation with the handle or anything like that. But it does feel pretty solid. It feels like a Canon camera. I would say build quality wise, it probably feels a little bit more similar to like a C200. It is kind of around that same price range. In a lot of ways, the buttons and all of that stuff are similar to the C300, but quality-wise, I think there is a little bit of a difference from the C70 to the C300, just in terms of how the buttons feel and the weight of the camera and all of that stuff. I'll kind of run through some quick things that I like about the camera. So one is the size. It is a lot smaller than the C300. It's a much smaller profile, and so there's a lot of benefits to that, whether you're throwing on a gimbal or you need to be shooting out of a car or something, you just need a tighter space to shoot in. That's awesome. Another thing is the ND. That is like a must for any cinema camera now. Any cinema camera that doesn't have built-in ND is definitely slacking and behind. I like how it has a full-size HDMI port, which is nice. It has a lot of the controls that we've all come to love about Canon, just built onto the frame of the camera. We have the waveforms, the peaking, the zebras, white balance, all of that stuff right there. So just quick access. And then there's also some other buttons that you can set as whatever presets you want them to be. All right, so now I'm gonna pass the camera off to Patrick. This is actually his first time ever holding the camera. We wanted to get his first impressions on camera and see his kind of like live reactions to everything. So without further ado, here it is. Whoa. Do we want to do this or not? Well, he's held the camera before.
Yeah, like Johnny had mentioned, the grip is fixed. So that was one of the things, like first feeling this, it's kind of like you can't like angle it like you can with like a C100, 200, or 300, where it kind of limits your functionality in your wrist. I know we talked about it before, like the screen is kind of small. So maybe having an external monitor could be beneficial. Or, I mean, if you are just like a one-man band, just being like real close. The grip is nice. I mean, it has like, that 1DX type texture to it that doesn't like slip around in your hand or anything. Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, like I think it's all about what feels the best, because like the camera that feels the best is the one you're gonna want to shoot with. Yeah. And like, honestly, I was pretty hype about this camera because it just looks cool and it like breaks the, I don't know, what we've known to love and expect from like the evolving cinema lines, being like more compact and everything. But I don't know, feeling it now, it's like not as like they hyped it up quite a bit.
I would say I feel a little bit underwhelmed by it just because of how much hype there was. I mean, and we haven't like used it for, these are our first impressions. So, not saying that we're not like gonna get the camera. I think that's still definitely a real possibility, but, yeah, to Patrick's point, I think it is just the feel and everything. It feels a little bit like a DSLR.
I haven't done like enough research about specs and stuff, but this feels pretty plasticky, where I think this is like a mix of, is it carbon fiber and like magnesium alloy?
Yeah.
Where
Yeah,
like, is
it's
this carbon fiber? I don't know. Like, if it doesn't feel cheap by any means, but it definitely, like if I were to drop this, I'd be kind of worried about something breaking where,
Right.
I mean, like you never want to drop a camera, but I don't know. I feel like
You're
this.
gonna drop one, maybe the C300.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know.
Talking about a couple issues now, like the fact that it doesn't have full-size XLRs is kind of a big deal for me. I mean, we don't have any of, I don't even really know what these are. I don't know if they're mini XLRs or micro XLRs or whatever they're called, but we don't have those. And so, you know, having to carry around extra cables is never fun. And going back to the battery thing, the more that you have cross compatibility with different things, the better. Another issue that I have is the card slots are only SD. So there's no CFast Express or CF Express Type B like the C300, C500. And so ultimately, you are going to have some really, really fast SD cards. And so the fact that there's none of those cards in there and you really just get 2 SD slots is kind of a disappointment. And again, that's going back to most people are not going to have SD cards that fast. And so it's just going to lead to more money that you need to spend to really kind of max out the capabilities of this camera.
Yeah. One thing we didn't talk about that is kind of a big deal and maybe more geared towards the people that are going to upgrade to this camera is the RF mount, which I don't know, how much was this adapter? Where it's like, it's great that Canon makes their own adapters where it, you know, it's going to work.
Yeah, it's like 200.
Yeah. I mean, that's like an additional thing that you have to think about if you have EF lenses.
So that is a downside, I would say, is the fact that, you know, you will most likely have to spend more money on this after you buy the camera. So I know we've been pretty harsh on the C70 so far. This is just us coming from professional cinema cameras, C300, C500, all that stuff to this. I honestly think it's going to stack up pretty well to the C300 in terms of the footage, the look, the dynamic range, and all that stuff. So let's get to that.
Strike a pose for us, Isaac. Oh my god, who's calling me? Hello? What's up?
Dude, Johnny is always getting calls. The best thing.
So we just got back from shooting test footage. Honestly, I think we were both expecting what we got in terms of the footage. The sensor is pretty much the same sensor on the C300 and the C70. And so with that, you're getting very similar dynamic range, quality of footage. You know, we're shooting everything in C-Log 2. So most of it is super similar.
As a B cam for us, it would make sense. Where still like ergonomically feeling the C300, I think is superior to the C70. It just doesn't like feel as good in your hands. It's lighter, that's for sure. Yeah, I feel like it is a B cam for our purposes.
I think the person that this is right for is a filmmaker coming from a DSLR or a little mirrorless camera, like a 1DX or an A7. The capabilities of this camera are definitely much greater than one of those cameras, and just the amount of features, the different controls, the ND, the mini XLR ports, full size HDMI, the ability to control audio gain on multiple channels. All of that stuff is huge for a filmmaker that is coming from a camera where you're not able to do any of that stuff within the camera. So yeah, I think that there's still a real possibility that we could take the C70 as a B cam for our C300. We're actually shooting a video on Friday. The reason that we have the C70, that's going to be an outside interview, and the C70 is going to be the B cam to the C300. We're going to be making a BTS of that video that's coming out next Thursday, so stay tuned for that for more side-by-side comparison of the two cameras. As always, thank you for watching. If you like this video, feel free to drop a like and drop a sub. Until next time, peace.